On air and on demand. It's the Gary Rivers Show on WHBC.
All right, we're going to switch directions right now and talk with John Edmonson, who's a wellness expert. And I wanted to talk to him about toddlers who use touchscreens are actually sleeping less. Oh, my gosh. We were just talking. Good morning, John. First of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, Gary. Thanks for having me on your show.
All right, and you, this really is your field. You are all about us living right. But this story I was just reading this morning about, we're destroying our kids, aren't we?
Well, it depends. It's something we've been doing for a long time with TV and other things with children. I worked at a youth and family center for 5 years. Before that, I was in education for about a decade. And, the trend that we notice is when we use any kind of technology as the babysitter, as a way of replacing, that attunement and that connection with another human being, we're starting to ask for trouble. We're letting something else or someone else or someone who's trying to sell a product raise our children. But beyond that, all that technology, all that information, if used right, is wonderful for kids, even the touchscreens. But if it's not used correctly, then you're right, it affects sleep. I was reading a study earlier today, too, and it said that children toddlers, even, from age 6 to 4, who are watching maybe already an hour or 2 hours of a touch screen, they literally sleep less, throughout their naps and during at night. That you're looking at 26 minutes less per hour that they view those touchscreens.
And the reason for that is what? Is their mind just not turning off? They're not able to grow at the right... I'm worried that these are minds that aren't fully developed and we're messing with them.
Well, they're definitely developing either way, and that's what's fascinating about it. So our brains through our whole lives are plastic. They call it neuroplasticity. It'll change and grow depending on what we do from day one till the last breath we have. However, whatever we're absorbing when we're children is so much more powerful. So basically, if we're putting that iPad in front of that child, and and they're starting to call these children iTods, we put that in front of them, and they begin to play with those, and their brain is forming around that. The brain is forming around the game, the information, the knowledge. And so when they get older, their brain is forming around being addicted many times to these kind of technologies. We don't have the studies yet to prove it because we haven't done it long enough. But we already know that most of us are addicted to our phones anyway.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what it's doing to us. Are there ways to maybe suggestions on how to maybe get kids to sleep better? Is it just simply taking the iPad away from them at a set time?
Well, I think if you just took it away from them cold, just like it with adults, they're not going to be very happy with you. But if you set up rituals where they know when they're going to be turning off the iPad, and they know when it's time to go to bed, that's going to help them sleep better. And then you give them something to replace that stimulation they were getting from the iPad. So it could be soft music to help them relax. It could be even having them breathe, lay flat on their back, put maybe a stuffed animal on their stomach, and tell them just to breathe. With that little stuffed animal, that'll help them, activate their parasympathetic nervous system, help them calm themselves a little bit, and sleep better.
I'm worried my toddler's going to be texting his attorney and saying, hey, they're cutting me off from my iPad. I mean, serious. Okay, maybe not seriously, but the point of the matter is they're so connected, even at that age. We find that very, isn't that cute? That's adorable. See how good they are at this. But the other side of that is, I just wonder if the brains are just too wired now, too interconnected with the internet and all of those images and all of that. We used to call it the MTV generation. Everything was so quick. And, now that's slow go right now. Everything's completely different. Movies change gears in a half a second. You can't even watch the action anymore sometimes.
Well, I think you're right. And the main thing, you said connection, and that's the key word. Because throughout time, the most important thing is that we connect with our kids. And if we are creating a safe home for them, if we are mindful of our voice, if we're walking the room mindful of our stress, as adults with these kids, they're less likely to retreat from us and run into those iPads, those video games, just to avoid their own parents. And so it's important that we not just blame technology, but that we point a finger back at ourselves, too, and say, what can I do to make these children enjoy being around me?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a game that does not involve Monopoly to play with my kids, to be honest, because it takes too long. Who has time for that?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. That would be, they'd probably start texting within 10 seconds.
Exactly. So finding that right game, that right activity to be with your kids might be a better question. You have any suggestions for that?
Well, I think, even if you're going to try to do a game, go outside, get them to experience nature more, because they do it much less than they used to. And even if there are little small games on the phone you can do with them, that's still a connection. Mm-hmm. And there are some apps which are phenomenal for kids. It's just all about, just like TV, it's what you choose to have them watch. So Momentous Institute, a youth and family center, has fantastic information about working with kids and the best activities for them. And they even developed an app when I was working there for kids. And if you choose those, they're much better. They're going to teach kids how to breathe, how to interact better. And even sometimes you can find games online that are both for you and the child. And then it becomes a source of connection as opposed to a source of detachment.
That makes sense. In other words, let it work for you instead of against you.
Instead of against you.
All right. Well, John Edmonson, wellness expert. How can folks reach you? You have a website that folks can read a little bit more about this and you?
Sure, Gary. It's going to be Marula Medical, and that's Marula medical.com.
All right. Thank you so much, John. We appreciate the time with us this morning.